Election day for residents in North Carolina again.
Yeah, just 2 months after Super Tuesday, 2 races in the Tar Heel state are still undecided, and voters can head to the polls right now. So let's turn to Casey Baylor. She joins us live in the studio this morning. So Casey, this is a runoff election. What does that mean for voters?
Well, you can expect voters to head to the polls right now. As you mentioned, they just opened for what's also known as the second primary. Now, the reason behind this runoff election, candidates didn't hit the numbers they needed to in order to win. So let me explain. In March's primary, candidates with the most votes failed to receive more than 30% of the vote, which is a must to declare victory in the state. So today, voters in North Carolina will choose the Republican nominees for lieutenant governor and state auditor. Hal Weatherman and Jim O'Neill will face off in the lieutenant governor's race. In the March election, Weatherman had just 20% of the vote, while O'Neill had 16. For state auditor, we're looking at Jack Clark and Dave Boliak on the ballot. Now, Clark received 23% of the vote, while Boliak had 22. Now, Kimberly Twine, the director of elections in Currituck County, says some voters need to realize how important these races are.
You know, top of the ticket there is the lieutenant governor, and if you put that in perspective, you know, that's like the vice president. You know, it's the second in command.
And Twine says voter turnout is historically low for a primary election, and she expects participation for this election to be even lower.
And Casey, did we learn anything from early voting numbers?
Well, that's just another sign of low voter turnout. So when we're looking at the early voting period among NC registered voters, the participation was less than 1%, 0.7 to be exact. And that includes both mail-in ballots as well as in person.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to go out and make sure your voice is heard today. Casey, thank you for that. The polls are open at this point in the morning. The races are open to any Republican voter or unaffiliated voter, as long as you didn't vote on the Democratic ballot. And you can track the results of today's primary runoff on our website, 13newsnow.com, where we will be posting real-time numbers for these elections. And a reminder, polls will close tonight at 7:30.